The checks that we do are harmless to the edge and the edge remains in its original state. Some of these checks are also good to show to your potential customer to demonstrate quality of your sharpening, a convincing way of recruiting new customers. So, how sharp is this, and what this score tells us about the edge? For mainstream knives, sharpness score of 50 to 90 best is a reliable indicator of a clean apex. Mainstream steels pass the check as their sharpness is tested. An edge not cleaned of micro burr and weakened metal will not score under 100 best. Note, however, that the 100 best threshold refers to an edge sharpened to its best. Sharpness score higher than 100 best does not necessarily indicate a wire edge. It may well be an edge with a strong, clean apex, but rounded during deburring. In free-hand deburring, the edge often gets rounded and loses some sharpness. A well-sharpened edge deburred freehand usually scores 130 to 160 best arm shaving. Woodworking tools that are well sharpened typically have sharpness of 110 to 150 best. If the edge scores more than 150 best, this edge is either not apexed in grinding, or rounded in deburring, or has a burr, or has a wire edge, or has been over-thinned by excess honing into a foil edge. Whether this edge can shave or not is explained in the following table. At knife grinders we check edge using two devices: the best edge sharpness tester and the razor edge tester. While the best sharpness tester is spot sampling, the razor edge tester checks condition along the length of the edge, and used together they give pretty comprehensive idea of the whole edge quality. With the razor edge tester we feel for any snagging, catching, any rough spots. The pushing pass that I have just done is especially sensitive for a nick, a chip or burr on the edge. A properly sharpened edge should feel perfectly smooth, and this is how this edge feels, perfectly smooth. In the instructions to the edge tester, it is step number 4. Since we have the best sharpness tester, we do not do the steps 1 and 2. Of conventional tests, I should mention the cigarette paper test, done on Telehor or Risla green rolling paper. Longitudinal push cut holding the cigarette paper vertically is a gold standard for butcher's, kitchen and chef's knives. This test becomes possible at about 0.2 micron edge or 110 Bes. When an edge is sharper than that, it cuts through the rolling paper so smoothly that you get a feeling of falling through. This one is a highly precise test due to the standardized test media, so to call. In some countries, Ritzler brand is more common than Teleho. I've tested all Ritzler varieties and Ritzler Green matches the results we get on Teleho. Of all rolling papers, however, the Teleho is most demanding to sharpness because its fibers are more tangled. Next, we check stability of the edge. We use our wire edge detector. The wire edge detector detects the residual burr and spots of unstable apex that microcrush under a light load. The impact weight is 150 grams. This load is exerted perpendicular to the edge through the copper roller. One forward-backward roll of the copper roller with the 150 gram load perpendicular to the edge will show no or less than 10 Bes worsening of sharpness on a clean, robust apex and over 20 Bes worsening of sharpness on a weak apex shaped from microfractured metal deformed in sharpening. When difference before the edge detector impact and after is 10 or less Bes of worsening of sharpness, this indicates a clean, robust apex, free from microfractured metal deformed in sharpening. Comparing these two numbers, the sharpness before and after the impact, we see how stable or unstable the apex is. This edge apex is stable. There is an easier check for wire edge that anyone with a sharpness tester can do by 10 strokes on a plain leather hanging strop. Stropping on the plain leather is safe to the edge because it can improve sharpness but not drop it. If a knife has wire edge, the plain stropping removes it and we see improvement in the sharpness score. But we see no or little change in the sharpness score if the edge is already clean and strong and has no wire edge. So, in this check by stropping, no change in sharpness is positive while improved sharpness is negative as it tells of the wire edge and bad sharpening methods. The cutoff value in the stropping test is over 20 best of improvement. It is so because within the first few hours after sharpening, stainless knives lose about 20 best of sharpness due to oxidation. Because of the oxidation, a knife that slices a hair immediately after sharpening cannot in half an hour. Stropping strips off the oxidation layer and restores the sharpness to what it was immediately after sharpening. The improvement can be 5, 10 or 20 best depending on the steel and time of storage. However, improvement of more than 20 best tells of a residual burr or wire edge that strop removes. I wrote about this in more detail in the chapter Spontaneous Loss of Sharpness of my book. This knife is one of rental knives that we give Mad Max restaurants. It was sharpened weeks ago and must have some oxidation on the edge. Do 10 strokes and measure sharpness again. We use a kangaroo tail hanging strop, but a cow or horse hanging strop will also show no or little change in sharpness after 10 strokes if the knife has no wire edge. However, if the knife does have unstable apex, the wire edge or micro burr, the 10 strokes on the canyon strop will improve the sharpness score over 20 best. Comparing these two numbers, we see the improvement after stropping, which is expected because the stropping removed the oxidation from the edge that the knife had developed during storage. However, this improvement is less than 20 best, telling us that originally the edge was clean of any micro burr, was strong and is strong. By these checks that we have done, we conclude that the knife is sharpened properly and the sharpening methods used in sharpening these knives are good. Now that we know that the edge apex is cleanly deburred and has no wire edge, I want to show you how strong this edge is. These number punches are made of hardened steel. I want to press this piece of hardened steel into the edge with the load. With the load of 2 kilograms. Amazingly strong edge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.